So we'll get started here. You get yourself set up. We're actually going to start in a forward fold at the top of the mat. Right, so standing at the top of your mat, your feet are, you can come into, wider than hip distance if you want, depending on what your body wants this morning. Put a slight bend in the knee, and then just let the upper body drape over the thighs. You can grab opposite elbows if you would like. And let the head and neck relax, let go. Right, and just kind of notice what shows up, right? So maybe, maybe there's some resistance. Maybe there's like, oh, I didn't want to do that. Good morning, Jenny. Maybe I didn't want to start in a forward fold, right? Just notice what kind of shows up. Or maybe you're like, yes, she read my mind. I don't know, right? It could happen. All right, so as you're in this forward fold, just breathe. Just breathe and notice, right? Sort of notice what's happening in your mind and body. And notice good morning, Terry. Just notice what's alive for you, what's really present in this moment. So maybe you, in this forward fold, maybe you want to bring in some movement. Maybe you need stillness, right? And that's okay. Whatever it is that you need, you breathe into that. And as you breathe in and you breathe out, begin to notice, right? What does joy feel like? Joy, it's 5:45 in the morning, right? No, but like, just get curious about that. What does that feel like in your body? And how do you cultivate that? You're breathing here in your forward fold. Unhinge your jaw. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. Right? And maybe you fill up with things that bring you joy. Like for me, joy is the first cup of coffee, first sip of coffee in the morning. That's like pure bliss, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. It's those little things, right? So breathe into those. Take a full breath in and a long breath out. Bring your fingertips down to the mat. Toe heel your feet back to hip distance. Right, halfway lift on an inhale. Right, so the spine is long. Let the arms reach behind the back. Exhale, you fold. Do 2 more of those. Halfway lift on a breath in. Fill up. Exhale, you empty out and fold. Last one, inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, you fold. This time ground down as you rise to standing. Arms reach up overhead. Grab the left wrist with the right hand. Inhale, you lengthen towards the ceiling. Exhale, you lean over to the right. Feel the stretch on the left side body. Let that left shoulder keep rolling onto the back. Take a breath in. You come back to center. Switch hands, so the left hand grabs the right wrist. Inhale, you lengthen. Exhale, you lean over to the left. Let that right shoulder, don't let it shade the heart, like let it roll onto the back. Beautiful. Take a breath in. You come back to center, separate the hands, look up, exhale, you fold. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold, you plant your hands, you step back to plank. And here in plank, you're going to drop your knees and come into tabletop. All right, so here in tabletop, your shoulders are stacked over the wrists. The tops of your feet are on the mat. Your spine is long and the crown of the head's reaching towards the front of the room. Take a breath in, drop the belly, lift the heart, tilt the hips, come into cow, and then on the exhale, you press down through your hands, round the spine, come into cat pose. Right. Maybe as you drop the belly, lift the heart, you breathe in and you cultivate joy, and on the exhale, you release everything that's not that. Beautiful. Keep moving, breath to movement. Inhale, heart lifts, belly drops. Exhale, you press down into the hands, you round the spine. Keep moving through that. Maybe you put in a C curve, maybe you shift your hips back to child's pose, right? Move through 2 rounds of breath, your movement, right? Your breath. I'm gonna have joy in a cup right here. Beautiful. Take a breath in and a breath out. Come into a neutral spine. From here, you're going to lift the right leg on an inhale. And then you're going to swing. Let me see here. What did I want to do? You're going to swing the right leg out to the side, and then you're going to come up to your knee. Arms are going to reach up overhead. You're going to take a breath in, and then that left hand's going to come down. The right hand's going to lean over. Beautiful. Take a breath in. You come back to center, and then the right hand comes to the right thigh. Lean over to the right side. Take a breath in. You come back to center. Arms reach up overhead. You plant the hands. You spin that back leg down, and you bring it back to tabletop. I had to do that one to talk you through it. It's still early, right? Take a breath in, left leg lifts in the air behind you. You're gonna swing it out to the left side, come up to the right knee, arms reach up overhead. You take a breath in, and then on the exhale, that right hand comes down, stretch over to the left, stretch the left side body. Beautiful, take a breath in. You come back to center, and then that left hand comes down the left leg, right arm reaches over, stretch it out. Take a breath in, you come back to center, you plant the hands on an exhale, you spin the left leg around and you come back into tabletop. In tabletop, you take a breath in, and on the exhale, you tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Right, and where can you find joy in down dog? Right, maybe you think about those things that bring you joy, right? So we have those things, and then I think there's a way to cultivate joy, right? And how do we cultivate joy in a time where it seems hard to find it, or in a pose that brings no joy, or life's challenges, right? So part of it is knowing what fills you up and tapping into those things, and then knowing that we have a choice. So here in down dog, you have a choice to stay in stillness, or you can pedal out your feet. You can bring movement in, you can wiggle in to the pose. You have a choice whether you tell yourself you hate this pose and it feels bad, or you have a choice to try to find the joy, right? Even if it's a flicker. Take a breath in, come up to your toes on an inhale. Exhale, you're going to drop the heels over to the right. Inhale, you come back to center. Exhale, you drop the heels over to the left. Beautiful. Inhale, you come back to center. You stay on the balls of your feet, and you're going to glide forward to high plank. Pause here in high plank. So the shoulders are stacked over the wrist. Heart's reaching forward. Thigh bones are lifting up towards the ceiling. You breathe in, joy. You breathe out, anything that is not that, right? Take a breath in, exhale, downward facing dog. Hands are really pressing down into the mat. Fingers are spread wide. Take a breath in, you glide forward to high plank. You pause here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, you glide forward, high plank. This time on the exhale, you lower down all the way to the mat. Heart lifts to cobra on an inhale. So the heart lifts, hands are light. Use the core. Exhale, you lower. 2 more. Inhale, you breathe in and lift. Exhale, you lower down. Inhale, the heart lifts. Exhale, you lower, and you make your way back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in. You look forward. Walk, step, or jump your feet to your hands. It's a little early for a jump, but I don't know. You two are ambitious this morning, so maybe you jumped. I don't know. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. Inhale, you rise to standing. Arms reach up overhead. Grab the left wrist with the right hand on an inhale. Exhale, you lean over. Inhale, you come back to center. You switch hands. And on the exhale, you stretch over to the left side. Beautiful. Take a breath in. You come back to center. Exhale, you fold. Halfway lift on a breath in. Exhale, you plant your hands. You step back to plank. Pause and plank. You take a full breath in, and on the exhale, you lower down. Heart lifts to cobra on an inhale. And exhale, you make your way back to downward facing dog. Right, so that series of movements is called the vinyasa. You can choose to do that, or you can choose to skip that and go to downward facing dog. Right? Just like we have an opportunity to choose joy, you have opportunities to make choices throughout the practice, right? Things that are going to cultivate joy within you. Take a breath in, you look forward, feet to the hands. Beautiful. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. Inhale, you ground down, you rise to standing. Exhale, you fold. Halfway lift on a breath in. Exhale, you plant your hands, you step back to plank, move through vinyasa. And you make your way back to downward facing dog, where you take a very full breath in and a long breath out. Look forward, feet to the hands. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. Inhale, you ground down, you rise to standing. Exhale, you fold. Halfway lift on a breath in. Exhale, you plant your hands, you step back to plank. You pause and plank. You take a full breath in. Exhale, you lower down. Heart lifts to cobra on an inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in and a breath out. Walk your hands back to your feet. Come into that wide-legged forward fold where we started before. This time maybe you take your feet a little bit wider. You're going to keep the left hand down. The right hand's going to come up, bend into the left knee, twist open, open up across the heart. You take a breath in. Right hand comes down, left hand lifts to the sky, bend into the right knee. Exhale, that left hand comes down. Toe heel your feet back to hip distance. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. Inhale, you rise to standing. Exhale, you fold. You're going to walk your hands back out to plank and pause. And you're here in plank and you're breathing and you're bringing in joy and you're finding a way to make this pose joyful, even if for a moment. Right? Because it's in some ways about perspective, right? How we view things. Right? And sometimes when we get into a place where we view things negatively, we have to retrain the brain. Right? So where can you find some ease here? Where can you find some joy? Take a breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in and the right leg lifts to the sky. Exhale, right knee to the outside of the right elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, right knee, left elbow. And from here, then that left leg is going to shoot out. The right hand's going to stay down. The left hand's going to come up. You're going to come into fallen star. So you're out like this, right? So the right foot is down. The left hand's reaching up. I love this pose. It brings me joy. Take a breath in. That right leg is going to come back. On an inhale, you're in a three-legged down dog. Take a breath in. Exhale, hug the right knee into the nose. And then you're going to step that right foot in between the hands. You're in a low lunge. Right here you are in a low lunge, right? That left thigh bone's lifting up towards the ceiling. The right knee stacked over the right ankle. Spine is long. Take a breath in, left hand stays down, right hand comes up. Twist open, low lunge twist. Beautiful, take a breath in. Exhale, that right hand comes down. You step back to plank and move through vinyasa. All right, so from downward facing dog, you take a breath in and a breath out. Left leg lifts to the sky on an inhale. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. You're going to hold it there for a breath in, and then you're going to bring that left foot out off of the mat. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up, fallen star. You take a breath in, open up across the heart, a breath out, right hand comes down, you push back to a three-legged down dog on the inhale, exhale, left knee, left up into the nose, place the left foot in between the hands, low lunge. Right, to the feet are in two separate lanes, the left knee stacked over the left ankle. Hug the belly button into the spine. Crown of the head's reaching towards the front of the room. Beautiful. Take a breath in. Right hand stays down. Left hand comes up. Low lunge twist. Exhale. That left hand comes down. You step back to plank. On the exhale, you move through vinyasa. Right, that vinyasa is almost like the rinsing off, like the reset button. So it's an opportunity to re-engage, to choose joy, right? From downward facing dog, you take a breath in. Exhale, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, you stretch back. Exhale, right knee, left elbow. You pause for a breath in. Then on the exhale, fallen star, right hand stays down, left hand comes up. That right leg goes out off of the mat. Beautiful. Take a breath in. Left hand comes down. You come back to a three-legged down dog. You take a breath in. Right knee comes in towards the nose, and then you step it forward in between the hands. Low lunge. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up. Twist open. Beautiful. Take a breath in. That right hand comes down on the inhale. You're going to rise to high crescent lunge. So that right knee stacked over the right ankle. You're on the ball of the left foot, left thigh bones lifting up towards the ceiling. All right, keep that right knee stacked over the right ankle. Arms can be reaching up overhead or they can be at heart center. Beautiful. Take a breath in and a breath out. Exhale. Your hands are going to come down to the mat. You step back to plank. You move through vinyasa. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in and a breath out. Left leg lifts to the sky on an inhale. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. You pause for a breath in, and on the exhale, fallen star. That left foot comes off of the mat. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up. You take a breath in. That right hand comes down. You push back to a three-legged down dog. Left leg is lifted in the air behind you. Exhale, left knee to the nose. And then you step it in between your hands, low lunge. Right hand stays down, left hand comes up, low lunge twist on an inhale. Can you lengthen the spine on the breath in, and on the exhale, you open up the heart a little bit more. You take a breath in. Exhale, the left hand comes down to the mat, and inhale, you rise to high crescent lunge. And where can you find some joy here? Breathe in. Breathe out. You take a breath in. Hands come down to the mat. You step back to plank. You pause. You take a breath in, and then you move through vinyasa or make your way back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in. Right leg lifts to the sky on an inhale. Exhale, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, right knee, left elbow. You pause for an inhale, and on the exhale, you open up, fallen star. Right hand stays down, left hand comes up. Open up across the chest. Maybe even you make it into a little bit of a back bend. Take a breath in. Exhale, that left hand comes down. You kick the right leg back to a three-legged down dog. Exhale, right knee comes in towards the nose, and then you place it in between the hands, low lunge. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up. You twist open. Exhale, the right hand comes down. Inhale, you rise to high crescent lunge. Arms reach up overhead. On the exhale, they come down behind your back. Clasp your hands, roll your shoulders onto your back, open up across the heart. Maybe bend your arms slightly. You're going to take a breath in here and a breath out. You're going to keep your hands clasped, and then you're going to open up into warrior two. Right, so you really want to square your hips and your shoulders. You're facing the left side of the mat. The right foot's forward, the left foot spin down. Pressing into the outside edge of that left foot. Keep the hands as they are. You're going to take a breath in. You're going to stretch back as if you're going into peaceful warrior, so the shoulders move towards the left hip. Feel the stretch on the right side body. And then you're going to lean forward on the exhale as if you're coming into side angle, but the arms are still clasped behind you. Beautiful. You come back to center, unclasp the arms and stretch them. Warrior two. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears. Settle in here and breathe. Maybe there's great joy because this feels like warrior two, right? Normal warrior two. Right, but you notice that and you pay attention to like what brings you joy and what doesn't. And is it what doesn't bring you joy? Is it really just something that you can change your perspective on? Flip the front palm, stretch it back, peaceful warrior. Right, cartwheel your hands to the mat, move through vinyasa. Right, you have to cultivate joy, right? Do things that feed that. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in. That left leg lifts in the air behind you. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. You pause for the inhale, and the exhale, you open it up, fallen star. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up. You breathe in. On the exhale, that right hand comes down. The left leg stretches back to a three-legged down dog. Exhale, left knee comes in towards the nose. You step it in between the hands. Right hand stays down, left hand comes up. Low lunge twist on an inhale. Exhale, the left hand comes down. Inhale, you rise to high crescent lunge. Exhale, the hands come behind your back. Maybe you clasp them the other way, like the way that feels funky. Let the knuckles move down towards your sit bones. Open up across the chest. Beautiful. Take a breath in. You're going to spin the right foot down. Open it up to warrior two, facing the right side of the room. So the left knee stacked over the left ankle. Left thigh bones parallel to the mat. Your left heel is lined up with the inside arch of your right foot. You're going to take a breath in. You're going to stretch back towards the right hip bone as if you're going into peaceful warrior. And then on the exhale, you're going to lean forward towards the left thigh bone as if you're into side angle. Beautiful. Keep opening up across the heart. Take a breath in. You come back to center, unclasp the hands, come into warrior two. All right, let the shoulders soften. Keep bending into that left knee. If it wants to cave in, keep pushing it out towards the left pinky toe. Flip the front palm, stretch back, peaceful warrior. And you cartwheel your hands to the mat. You move through vinyasa. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in and a breath out. Right leg lifts on an inhale. Exhale, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, right knee, left elbow. On the exhale, you take a breath in, and then that right foot comes down, fallen star, left hand comes up. You take a breath in, and on the exhale, that left hand comes down. You can wake your way back to a three-legged down dog. On the inhale, the right knee comes in towards the chest. You place it in between the hands, low lunge. Left hand stays down, right hand comes up, low lunge twist, right? We've been through this sequence, so you know we're just adding on to it, right? Take a breath in. Right hand comes down. Inhale, you rise to high crescent lunge. Arms come down by your side. On the exhale, clasp the hands, open up across the chest. Take a breath in and a breath out. You're going to ground down into that right foot. Pop up into warrior three. So the left leg lifts, spine is long. Arms are still clasped behind you. Crown of the head's reaching towards the front of the room. Flex that left foot. Pull up through the right thigh bone. Hug the belly button into the spine. You got it. Breathe. Right. When we focus on cultivating joy, things don't feel so heavy. So where can you breathe joy into this pose? Take a breath in. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, standing splits. So you're still have that left leg lifted. Take a breath in. Exhale, left toes touch down at the back of the mat. Inhale, you rise to high crescent lunge. Exhale, you open it up, warrior two. Flip the front palm, stretch it back, peaceful warrior. And then on the exhale, you're going to come into side angle pose. So right forearm to right thigh, or the hand can come down to the mat. Keep bending into that right knee. Left arm is lifted towards the ceiling. Left shoulder's rolling onto the back. Stack it over the right. Beautiful. Take a breath in. Exhale, you come back to warrior two. Flip the front palm, stretch it back, peaceful warrior. And then you're going to cartwheel your hands to the mat and move through vinyasa. From downward facing dog, you take a breath in. Left leg lifts to the sky on an inhale. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Inhale, you stretch it back. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. You pause for a breath in. Exhale, that left foot comes off of the mat. Right hand lifts to the sky, fallen star. You take a breath in. Exhale, right hand comes down to the mat. You push back to a three-legged down dog. You take a breath in, and on the exhale, left knee comes in towards the nose, and you place it in between the hands, low lunge. Right hand stays down, left hand comes up, low lunge twist. You take a breath in, and on the exhale, that left hand comes down. You rise to high crescent lunge. On the inhale, exhale, hands come down behind your back. Open up across the chest. From here, you take a breath in, you ground down into the left foot, come into warrior three, right leg lifts. Straighten the left leg. Arms are clasped, right? Keep rolling the shoulders onto the back. Flex the standing foot, pull the belly button into the spine. It's going to give you stability. Crown of the head's reaching towards the front of the room. Nice, take a breath in. Exhale, fingertips come down to the mat, standing split. So really move your heart forward through your shoulders like or your arms like you're standing on the edge of a diving board, like looking over. Beautiful. Take a breath in, and on the exhale, the right toes touch down at the back of the mat. You're in high crescent lunge on an inhale. Left knee stacked over the left ankle. Exhale, you open it up, warrior two. Right, so keep bending into that left knee. Flip the front palm, stretch back, peaceful warrior. Hi, Heidi. On the exhale, side angle pose, left forearm to the left thigh. I can't believe you're up, Heidi. Right, so that right hand is reaching towards the ceiling. You take a breath in. You notice here What comes up? Where can you find joy here? You come back to warrior two, flip the front palm, stretch back, peaceful warrior. Cartwheel your hands to the mat, move through vinyasa. I've been trying to smile more, Heidi. Take a breath in and a breath out. Drop your knees wide to the mat. Come into child's pose. Right, so here in child's pose, maybe this cultivates some joy, right? Oh, good, we're not doing that sequence again. Right? But breathe in, right? Breathe in those things that bring you joy and breathe out the things that don't, the things that no longer serve you. Walk the fingertips forward and then walk them over to the right, taking them off the mat, shifting the left hip bone back towards the left heel. Feel that the stretch on the side body. You take a breath in, you come back to center. And then on the exhale, you walk them over to the left, shifting that right hip back towards the right heel. You take a breath in and a breath out. You walk the hands back to center. Then you're going to tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. And you take a breath in, you look forward, feet to the hands. Maybe this time you jump. Right? Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. Fingertips are on the mat. Right leg lifts in the air behind you, standing splits. And take a breath in. You're going to lift up to warrior three. So the hands can come to heart center. They can reach out behind you, or they can be out in front of you, framing your ears, right? Your choice. What's going to bring joy to this pose, right? The choice of your hand placement. Make it joyful. Take a breath in and a breath out. Your next inhale, you're going to come up to tree. So the sole of the right foot is going to come to the inside of the left calf, the left thigh. Toes can be on the ground. Arms can reach up overhead. They can come to heart center. You can clasp them in behind your back. Whatever is going to bring joy to your tree, right? Make it a joyful one. Right, but here's the thing too, like tree and balance. Heidi always says that balance is not innate. It's something that we have to practice. So it can be challenging to find joy when we're frustrated or we're wobbling or we're challenged physically. So if that happens, you come back in, you laugh it off, and you come back into it, right? It's the practice. That which we practice becomes stronger. So the more we practice that on the mat, the more easily it becomes to access that in the wild, which is what I define as anything off of my mat is the wild. So you're in tree and you're breathing. And take a breath in and a breath out. That right foot's going to come down to the mat. Inhale, the arms reach up overhead. Exhale, you fold forward. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. Left leg lifts on an inhale, standing splits. All right, really flex that left foot, pull the belly button into the spine. You're going to take a breath in. You're going to come up into Warrior Three. Use your core to lift yourself up. Maybe you choose a different hand placement here than you did before. Good morning, Jen. You're going to lift the upper body on an inhale and come up into tree. Left foot comes to the mat, sole of the right, or inside of the right calf or the right thigh. Right. And then you make your choice with your hands. Maybe it's different. Maybe you notice this side is more wobbly or more stable, right? Doesn't mean anything, right? We have different sides. New opportunity to practice that cultivating joy within ourselves. And take a breath in and a breath out. Left foot comes down to the mat. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, you fold forward. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale, you fold. You plant your hands. You step back to plank. You pause here in plank. You breathe in. You breathe out. You breathe in joy. You let go of all the other stuff, right? You take a breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg lifts on an inhale. Exhale, you step it in between your hands, little lunge, and then you're gonna walk your foot coming into pigeon towards the left side of the room. You're gonna tuck the left toes, untuck them, come down, drop the left knee to the mat. Right, so your right shin doesn't have to be parallel to the mat. You just want your right foot moving towards your left hip crease. So you can stay up on your hands. You can come down to your forearms or a block or whatever you're using as a block these days. All right, and you breathe in here. And just notice what's present, what's alive. You know, it's funny how our relationships with poses change. For a long time, I avoided this pose, right? Because I told myself I couldn't do it, that it hurt, that it was uncomfortable, right? And then one day I did it. And yesterday I was in pigeon in Steph's class, and it brought me so much joy because I could lay all the way down. Like that stretch felt really good. So in some ways it is about perception and what we tell ourselves, what the narrative is about a pose or a situation or a relationship or a challenge. Right? Take a breath in and a breath out. And you just notice. In the inhale, you're going to walk your fingers back towards your right shin. You're going to tuck the left toes, and you're going to kick back into a three-legged down dog so that right leg is lifted. You're going to bend the knee. Stack the hips, roll it open. Let that right heel get heavy. Maybe that right hand gets light and you flip your dog. All right, so another back bend. Open up, breathe in. Take a breath in, and on the exhale, that right hand comes down. You unflip your dog. Right foot comes down to the mat. Inhale, the left leg lifts in the air behind you. Exhale, you step it forward in between your hands. You walk the left foot over to the right side of the mat. Come into pigeon on this side. All right, and you breathe and you notice. Right, it's the noticing and the awareness that allows us to cultivate joy or happiness or whatever it may be that we're wanting to tap into, but we can't do that if we're not present, if we're not in the moment. And it's that awareness of when we come out of that moment to come back in a kind and compassionate way, right? Not this judgment that you weren't in the moment. And it's a practice. You take a breath in and a breath out. You're going to walk your hands back towards your left shin. Tuck the right toes, push back to a three-legged down dog. Left leg lifts in the air behind you. You're going to bend the knee, stack the hip. Let that heel get heavy. All right, you can stay here or you can flip your dog. Left hand lifts up. Feet come down to the mat in the flip dog. Beautiful. Take a breath in and a breath out. Exhale, that left hand comes down. You unflip your dog. Left foot comes down to the mat. Here you are in your last down dog of the practice. Take a full breath in and a long breath out. Maybe that gave you great joy because you know where we're headed. Take a breath in. On the exhale, you're going to walk your feet through your hands, come down to your back. Hug the knees into the chest. Rock side to side. You're going to take both feet, soles of the feet, to the outside edges of the mat, and then you're going to drop your knees over to the right. So you may want to take that right foot and place it on top of the left thigh. That's going to give you a little bit more stretch in the hip. If you need more sensation, I've kind of become a fan of that lately. I feel with all this sitting that I'm doing in a non-desk chair, right, like at my dining room table, that my hips need all the extra love they can get. So maybe you can relate to that. Right, and as we start to wind down and get still, like, can you stay present? Can you stay in your body in the moment? And when you start to drift, maybe you think of that thing, you know, that first sip of coffee. Maybe it's for me also, it's a new box of crayons, right? There's something about the smell of a new box of 64 crayons that brings me great joy, right? Take a breath in, you come back to center, and then on the exhale, you drop the knees over to the left. Maybe that left foot comes on top of the right thigh. Right, so it's the little things that bring us joy. It's not like these big monumentous events. I mean, those do bring joy, but typically the cultivating of joy, for me is noticing the little things, right? Which makes choosing joy seem less daunting, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, that first sip of coffee, that makes me feel this way. And you all know how much I love my coffee, so you take a breath in, you come back to center. That left leg is going to go out long. You're going to hug the right knee in. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee, cross it over the body. Right arm can go out long. You can look over the right shoulder. Shoulder blades stay on the mat. And take a breath in, you come back to center. Right leg goes out long, left knee comes in. You take the right hand to the outside of the left knee, right? You cross it over the body. Left arm goes out long. You breathe in here. Letting go of all the things that don't serve you in this moment. You take a breath in. Come back to center. You hug the knees into the chest. You reach in between the thighs, grab the outside edges of the feet and come into happy baby. So the soles of the feet are shining up towards the ceiling. Knees are pointing down towards your armpits. Spine is long on the mat. Right, and maybe you rock side to side. When I teach my football players, they like to rock side to side. They think that's great fun. They find great joy in that. And then they kind of get stuck, right? They like roll to the side. Right, so bring some joyful play into the pose. And it brings me great joy watching them do that. Because they like, for a moment, just let go of all of the pretense. So release the grip on your feet. Hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. And then legs go straight up in the air. Hands can be by your side. They can come underneath your back. Feet can flex. They can point. Take a breath in and a breath out. Right foot comes down to the mat and then the left. Heels go to the high corners of the mat, let the feet splay open. Arms by your side. Take a full breath in and a long breath out. Let the back side of your body sink into the mat. Let the shoulders fall away from your ears. Soften the face. Right, this final pose, though it is challenging, I find, it is also very joyful, right? So there's no more work to do. Let the body and the mind rest and soak up the practice, the joy. Shavasana. If your mind starts to wander, you just bring it back. Back to the inhale, the exhale, back to sensation, back to sound. Start to deepen your breath. Bring some movement into your fingers and your toes. Keeping your eyes closed, roll gently to your right side and pause. And when you're ready, you're going to help yourself up to seated at the top of your mat. Together, take a breath in, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Let your thumbs rest on your heart space. And just notice the heartbeat, the breath. Notice what it feels like to be joyful and to cultivate joy. Together, take a full breath in and a long breath out. The light and truth in me sees and honors that in each of you. Thank you for being here this morning or whenever you take this class. Together we say Namaste.